Hold up, hold up, hold up. Stop everything. Drop whatever fake smile you were wearing. Put down that mask you've been suffocating behind, because I need you to feel this moment right here, right now. You actually went there, didn't you? That place they warned you about. That forbidden move they begged you not to make. That line they drew in blood and dared you not to cross. But you didn't just cross it, you erased it with your bare hands and laughed. And now look at them. Scrambling, panicking, group chats on fire, emergency meetings at 3 a.m., phone calls that start with heavy breathing and end with, "What have they done?" They're not just scared, they're traumatized by what you've become. Because when they said, "Don't do it," they meant, "Don't expose us." When they said, "That's too far," they meant, "That's too real." When they said, "You'll regret this," what they really meant was, "We'll regret pushing you to this point, but it's too late now, isn't it?" Let's rewind for a second. Remember when you were nice? Remember when you played by their rules? When you colored inside their lines and smiled at their disrespect? You gave them chances wrapped in ribbons, made of your own sanity. First warning came soft, a raised eyebrow, a slight change in your tone. They laughed it off. Look who's trying to be tough. Second warning came harder, distance, silence. They called it a phase. They'll come crawling back, they always do, but they didn't know, did they? They didn't know you were documenting every betrayal, filing every insult, studying their weaknesses while they mocked your kindness. They didn't know that silence wasn't surrender, it was strategy. You were never weak, you were calculating. Every tear was data, every heartbreak was intel. Every time they twisted the knife, you were memorizing the angle. And now, they're realizing their biggest mistake wasn't hurting you. It was teaching you how to hurt. So you did it. That thing that made their blood run cold. Not with violence, not with rage, but with something far more terrifying. Precision. You knew exactly where to apply pressure. Exactly which foundation stone to pull. Maybe it was that truth you dropped in public, the one they thought was buried forever. Maybe it was that person you became, the one they said you could never be. Maybe it was that success you achieved using the very pain they gave you as fuel. Whatever it was, it worked. You felt it, didn't you? That shift in the atmosphere. That moment when their laughter died in their throats. When their eyes went wide and their hands started shaking, when they realized the mouse had become the trap. But here's the beautiful part. That was just the warning shot. That was you testing the waters, flexing muscles they didn't know you had, showing them a glimpse of the monster they created. And their reaction told you everything you needed to know. They begged, didn't they? Please don't do this. We can work this out. That's not who you are. But you smiled that smile. The one that doesn't reach your eyes. The one that says you should have thought of that before. So you did it again, but bigger, bolder, more precise. You took everything they taught you about pain, and you became a master craftsman. You didn't destroy them with chaos. You destroyed them with their own weapons turned inside out. This time you didn't just expose their secrets. You exposed their patterns. You didn't just show their flaws. You revealed their entire blueprint. You became the mirror they couldn't shatter, the echo they couldn't silence, the consequence they couldn't escape. And the beautiful irony? They created this. Every lie they told became your ammunition. Every game they played became your playbook. Every mask they wore became your costume collection. You didn't learn spite from strangers, you learned it from them. Now let's talk about what you've really done here. You didn't just make a move. You didn't just cross a line. You birthed something. Something that breathes in the dark. Something that feeds on their fear. Something they see when they close their eyes. You've become their permanent reminder. Not of what they did, but of what they awakened. Every time they try to sleep peacefully, your name scratches at their window. Every time they laugh too loud, they remember who's not laughing with them anymore. You're not in their life, but you haunt it. You're not in their presence, but you own their absence. You're not chasing them, but they're running from your shadow. You've become the what if that keeps them up at night. The I should have that ruins their mornings. This is what happens when you push someone past their breaking point and they don't break. They transform. They evolve. They become something your nightmares warned you about, but your ego ignored. They become the lesson you'll spend the rest of your life learning. Look at them now. Their whole world is glitching. Nothing makes sense anymore. The person they thought they could predict has become quantum. The soul they thought they understood has become encrypted. The future they planned just got deleted. They're refreshing your page obsessively, analyzing every word, every picture, every silence, looking for clues about your next move. But you're not giving them anything. You're not playing chess anymore. You're playing with physics. Their friends are asking questions. What happened with you two? Their family is noticing the cracks. You seem different lately. Their new relationships feel hollow because they're comparing everyone to the intensity you brought. You're not even there and you're still the main character. This is the nightmare you birthed. Not one of violence or revenge, but of permanent psychological residence. You're living rent-free in minds that tried to evict you. You're the error message in their perfectly programmed life. You're the virus their antivirus can't detect. Remember when they had all the power? When they decided when to text back? When they controlled the narrative? When they held all the cards? Look at the table now. Look who's dealing. Look who's setting the rules. You don't respond to their attempts at contact, not because you're petty, but because you're priceless. You don't acknowledge their existence, not because you're cruel, but because you're complete. You don't need their validation anymore. You've become your own source. They're calling you crazy. They've lost it. They've gone too far. But what they really mean is they've gone somewhere we can't follow. You didn't lose your mind. You found it. And finding it meant losing them. Fair trade. The power dynamics haven't just shifted, they've shattered. You're not playing their game anymore. You're not even in their league. You've transcended to a place where their opinions are just background noise, where their judgments are just white noise. They're trying to control the narrative, aren't they? Telling everyone their version, painting you as the villain, making themselves the victim. But something strange is happening. People aren't buying it. Want to know why? Because authentic power can't be faked. Because real transformation can't be mimicked. Because when someone genuinely evolves beyond their old self, It shows in ways words can't hide. Your energy speaks louder than their stories. Everyone can see it. The way you walk different. The way you talk different. The way you exist different. You're not trying to prove anything. You're just being. And that being is so powerful it makes their lies look like children's scribbles. You've become the plot twist in their story they can't edit out. The character development they can't explain away. The ending they didn't write but have to live with. You're not just winning, you've changed what winning means. This is where it gets really interesting. You're not using force, you're using physics. You're not creating drama, you're creating inevitability. You're not seeking revenge. You're being revenged just by existing at this frequency. Every success you have feels like salt in their wounds. Every smile you wear feels like judgment on their choices. Every step forward you take feels like them falling behind. You're not competing with them. You've made them compete with your ghost. You've mastered the art of presence through absence. The power of silence over screaming. The impact of indifference over hatred. You've become so psychologically advanced that your mere existence is a masterclass in what they'll never achieve. They wanted to break you. Instead, you became unbreakable. They wanted to define you. Instead, you became undefinable. They wanted to limit you. Instead, you became limitless. And now they have to live with that reality every single day. Your transformation didn't just affect them. It sent ripples through the entire social ecosystem. People are choosing sides. Conversations are shifting. The whole dynamic is restructuring around this new version of you. Some people are inspired. They see what you've become and think, if they can do it, so can I. Others are terrified. They see what you've become and think, what if that happens to me? Either way, you've become the catalyst. You're disrupting the social order just by being authentic. You're challenging the status quo just by refusing to play along. You're exposing everyone's masks just by taking off your own. You've become dangerous to the comfortable. This is what they're really freaking out about. Not what you did, but what you represent. The possibility that anyone can transform. The proof that pain can become power. The evidence that the system they rely on can be transcended. Let's talk about the real nightmare you birthed. It's not anger. It's not hatred. It's complete emotional independence. You've reached a place they can't touch. A frequency they can't match, a peace they can't disturb. You used to need their approval. Now, you don't even notice their existence. You used to crave their attention. Now their attention feels like pollution. You used to fear their rejection. Now their acceptance would feel like contamination. This is what terrifies them most. You're not trying to hurt them. You're not trying to heal from them. You're not trying anything. You just are. And that being is so complete, so whole, so absolutely self-contained that it makes their existence feel meaningless. You've become emotionally bulletproof, not by building walls, but by becoming water. Not by hardening, but by flowing. Not by defending, but by transcending. You've evolved past the emotional games they're still playing. You've done something to time itself. Past, present, and future don't work the same way anymore. Not for them. Not since you did what you did. You've created a before and after that they can't escape. Every memory is now tainted. Every good time now has an asterisk. Remember when becomes evidence of what they lost. Every shared song becomes a haunting. You've retroactively poisoned their past. Their present is paranoid. Always looking over shoulders. Always wondering if you're watching. Always feeling judged by your absence. You're not there, but you're everywhere. You're the ghost in every room they enter. Their future is uncertain. They can't plan without considering your existence. They can't move forward without checking if you're behind. They can't build anything new on the foundation you shook. You've made their tomorrow terrifying by making their today unbearable. This is bigger than personal. You've rewritten the rules of reality itself. What they thought was impossible, you made inevitable. What they thought was unchangeable, you changed. What they thought was fixed, you made fluid. You've proved that victims can become victors without becoming villains. That soft can become strong without becoming harsh. That broken can become built without becoming bitter. You've shattered every limiting belief they had. Now they can't trust anything. If you could transform like this, what else is possible? If you could rise like this, what else is false? If you could become this, what else have they been wrong about? You've created existential crisis just by existing. You're not just a person anymore. You're a possibility. You're not just a story anymore. You're a prophecy. You're not just a memory anymore. You're a monument to what happens when someone stops accepting limitation. They're seeing you everywhere, aren't they? In strangers who walk with confidence. In quotes that hit too close. In successes that remind them of potential. You've become a psychological virus they can't cure. Every time they try to forget, your name appears. In conversations, in algorithms, in the universe's sick sense of humor. Every time they think they've moved on, something reminds them. A smell, a place, a phrase you used to say. You've achieved something remarkable. You're haunting them without trying. You're tormenting them without touching. You're destroying them without doing. Your existence has become their exorcism, and it's not working. This is the nightmare that doesn't end when they wake up. Because you're not in their dreams, you're in their reality. You're not in their head, you're in their history. You're not in their life, but you're in their legacy. So what nightmare did you birth? You birthed their awakening to their own emptiness. You birthed their recognition of their own limitations. You birthed their understanding that they never had the power they thought they did. You became the mirror that won't stop reflecting, the echo that won't stop repeating, the lesson that won't stop teaching. The lesson that won't stop teaching. You became everything they said you couldn't be, and it's eating them alive. But here's the real beauty of it all. This was never about them. This transformation was about you. They were just the pressure that created the diamond. They were just the fire that forged the steel. They were just the darkness that made you find your light. So let them freak out. Let them panic. Let them scramble to understand what happened. While they're trying to solve the puzzle of you, you'll be busy becoming something even more impossible. Because, baby, you didn't just go there once. You went there twice. And you're not done yet. You know what's really breaking them? It's not what you did. It's how you vibrate now. You've shifted to a frequency they can't tune into, a wavelength their cheap equipment can't detect, a channel they don't have access to anymore. They're trying everything to get back on your level. Meditation apps, therapy sessions, self-help books. But you can't fake this frequency. You can't buy this broadcast. You can't download this energy. It only comes from dying and choosing to rebuild yourself, atom by atom. Watch them try to copy your moves, watch them imitate your words, watch them steal your style. But it comes out wrong every time, doesn't it? Like a bad translation, like a bootleg version. Like someone trying to sing a song in a language they don't understand. You're operating on pure authenticity now, and that's a currency they can't counterfeit. Every word you speak carries weight they can't lift. Every step you take leaves prints they can't follow. Every breath you breathe changes the atmospheric pressure in ways that make them dizzy. Here's something they didn't calculate. Your transformation didn't happen in isolation. It created a network effect. Other people started waking up. Other souls started recognizing themselves in your story. Other phoenixes started remembering they had wings. Now they're not just dealing with you. They're dealing with the movement you started without meaning to. Every person who saw you rise and thought, me too. Every soul who watched you transform and whispered, my turn. Every spirit who witnessed your rebirth and decided to burn their old life down. You've become patient zero of an awakening virus. Your courage is contagious. Your power is spreading. Your example is multiplying, and they're watching their whole world order collapse because you had the audacity to stop playing by rules that were designed to break you. They're finding out what happens when one person's individual revolution becomes everyone's personal revelation. When one person's no more becomes a collective never again. When one person's transformation becomes a generation's reformation. You didn't just change the game, you started a whole new sport. Let's talk about your silence. Not the weak silence of the defeated, not the bitter silence of the angry, but the terrifying silence of the transformed. The silence that says more than any words ever could. The silence that sounds like Judgment Day. They're begging for a reaction now, aren't they? Doing things specifically to trigger you, posting things aimed at you, creating situations designed to force a response. But you give them nothing, and that nothing is everything. That void is violence. That absence is assault. Your silence has become a language they can't learn. A code they can't crack. A message they can't decode, but can't stop trying to understand. Every day you don't respond is another day they spend responding to your non-response. You've made them argue with air. This is psychological warfare at its finest. You're not fighting them, you're letting them fight your shadow. You're not defeating them, you're letting them defeat themselves. You're not destroying them, you're letting them self-destruct against the wall of your indifference. You've done something irreversible. You've locked yourself into their legacy forever. Not as a chapter they can close, but as the entire book they can't rewrite. Not as a character in their story, but as the author who changed the ending. Every future relationship will be compared to your intensity. Every future achievement will be measured against your growth.